guys. So this is my prayer of exchange, of exchanging heaviness and brokenheartedness, grief, shame, the regrets, and it's the prayer of what I'm bringing to Jesus and then what he gives back to me. And I've got a board. It's just a piece of plywood. It's cut in an 8.5 by 11 size is the size of the board. And I just laid out my index cards with my prayer, and I will put this prayer on a PDF for you that if you want to use my exact words, you sure can. So it would fit on this. I sometimes, I've been putting these prayers in my journal for safekeeping. I've been taking photographs of them. And then I also, some of them I am putting onto pieces of wood because I want to boldly remember the truth. And sticking it in a book is fine, but sometimes there are things that I need to look at and remember, and I feel like this is one of them. So I'm going to put it onto this piece of wood. The first thing that I'm going to do, I have this wood, and then I have these old plastic doilies. Robin Goddard gave them to me. But I had some before. I don't know if you can even buy them exactly like this, but if you maybe look on Etsy, you could look for supplies and vintage doilies or something. Look that up and see maybe if you can find some. You can also use the paper doilies in the baking section of your craft areas. So like at Michael's or Walmart or whatever, there's those paper doilies. You can use those too. I just like these because I can use it and then wash off, and it's totally reusable. So I'm going to slide my prayer off, and then I have golden molding paste. This takes a long time to dry, so I'm going to put this on my board with a palette knife. Here's some palette knives. I'm going to put it on with this kind of like frosting and peel up the doily, and I might have to let it dry completely overnight, but I'm going to go ahead and get it started. I'm going to do this piece really neutral is my plan. Lots of neutrals, whites, creams, browns. That's my plan anyway. Very, very simple. And I'm just going to get some of this molding paste like this onto my palette knife here, and you want to hold it really still and in place so that it keeps your pattern. All right, so I'm going to start up here and just press down. You can also do this, I did it on the birch round piece. You can do this with heavy bodied acrylic paint because it's so thick. So you can do that. It uses a lot of paint when you do it, and the heavy bodied paint is not as it's more expensive than your craft paint, but the effect is worth it in the end. So anyway, molding paste you can do. This is kind of a off-white color. You can mix paint into it if you want to change the color of your molding paste. Just mix the paint in before you put it on. You can paint over the top of it, which is probably what I will do. Got my pattern on there, and so I'm going to let that dry. Okay, so in the meantime, I'm going to start cutting out my words, my prayer, and seeing how I want to fit them onto the board. Okay, you guys, so I'm going to be using my scissors to cut out my prayer, which is kind of like a poem, and I'm going to be using Mod Podge to apply it here, and I'm going to leave a column of about 1.5 inches down the side, and I'll show you. All right, I'm going to use a bunch of old buttons, I think, along the side. That's my plan anyway, so I'm gonna probably speed this up so you don't have to watch it in real time, and I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, you guys, I'm going to talk about something while I'm cutting this out. In this prayer, I am talking about things that I struggle with and things like shame and grief. And I don't know if people just don't talk about this or if people talk about it in just very close friendships, but somehow, somewhere along the way in my life, I felt like this was all stuff that I had to hide and that I should not admit that I have thoughts that I struggle with of self-condemnation and of shame and of just really thinking I should have it all together, and how dare I not have everything I need all the time and have it all done. I mean, I thought, okay, I shouldn't be thinking these thoughts, but I am, and if I had it all together, I wouldn't be thinking these thoughts, and other people certainly aren't. I don't know. Somewhere along the way, I thought that this is stuff I should not talk about, and I should hide it. And probably the people that I want to hide it from the most are the people that I love the most, because I don't want them to think that I'm struggling. I don't want them to think that it's their fault. It's my own stuff. But I sure don't want them to know about it. But I am learning, you guys, that I'm not the only one who struggles with this. And if I don't talk about it, and you don't talk about it, and nobody talks about the things that they're struggling with, we all think we're suffering alone. And we cannot help one another if we don't talk about it. If we don't talk about the battle that goes on in our mind of worry and anxiety, of regret, of all the yucky stuff. But when we talk about it, it's a part of the process of bringing it out into the light. And I want to be one that does that. I want to be one to bring truth into the light so that I can be healed and so that you can be healed. I want to be one that talks about it. I want to be one that lays out my faith here in black and white before you, or in turquoise and yellow and orange and all these colors